Welcome, everyone, to the Meaningful Hearts podcast, where we discuss the everyday questions that make us or break us if we let them. With your hosts, Drew and Daniella. Take our hands and let's walk this journey together.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Meaningful Hearts podcast. Last episode, Drew was solo, and I got to tell you, I really enjoyed listening to what he was talking about. I mean, I'm a little biased because I like the sound of his voice, and I think he's very insightful. But I think I also know good stuff when I hear it. Just as a brief recap, he talked about being relentless and how we as human beings tend to give up after a certain amount of attempts at something and it's not working out in our favor. And so we give up, and our reasoning is, or I guess the way we try to justify it is to say, that really wasn't for me anyway. Now, don't get me wrong. There are definitely things that if you've tried for a certain amount of times and it's just not working out and you're really feeling like it's not for you, then maybe it isn't for you. But I know that there are many times in our lives, and this is something we all do, where we give up on something simply because it's not working out in our favor, even though it's something that we really want. So when he was talking about it, I was honestly inspired to try to come up with something that complements that, because he talks about the importance of, instead of giving up and saying that wasn't for us, how can we think differently? He gave a really good analogy about a fox and a squirrel. And like I said, I honestly really liked it. And if you haven't listened to it, maybe it's a good episode for you to listen to. But in any case, so yeah, he talked about the importance of trying to find different ways instead of just giving up for the things that we want to pursue, for the things that we really want. Now, as a side note, actually, as I've been talking, this does not apply to unhealthy relationships. This is literally just came to my mind because sometimes we want to be in relationships, and that does not only include romantic relationships. But sometimes we have relationships that aren't genuinely good for us. And no matter how many times we try to make things work, sometimes they just don't. So that was just a side note. But I think the gist of not giving up on things we really, truly want are things that we want in our lives. Maybe professionally, or maybe as an athlete, or maybe you want to draw, or maybe you want to be a really good writer. I don't know. It could be applied to many different things. But the idea is that we try to make ourselves feel better by justifying our, I guess in some ways, failures. Or see, this is where it gets a little tricky because my definition of failure is not trying something and it not working out. My definition of failure is trying something, it not working out, and then not getting back up. And I think this ties a little bit hand in hand what he was talking about. But what I came up with to complement his episode is to talk about appreciation. I think it's certainly difficult to be able to try to have a different perspective, or even to not give up when we've tried something so many times that it's not working. It's really hard to turn that around and be appreciative, but it's also not impossible. And so what I would like to do right now is take a moment with you and spend some time appreciating ourselves. Now, this is something that I've done with clients that I have. You might have heard of it, you might have not. But if you haven't, it's okay. You're about to learn it now. So this is a technique I call square box breathing. And for a few minutes, Maybe I'll do 2 or 3. You're going to inhale for the count of 4. You're going to hold for the count of 4. You're going to release for a count of 4 and then hold again. And we'll go through it. And this is really a moment to appreciate and be fully present in the moment with who you are. And I encourage you to think about, or rather than think, I guess experience what you might notice in that moment. So I'll do a few breaths. If you're being active somewhere, or if you're in a position where you can't do this, please pause and resume later on. But if you have maybe 30 seconds or so, maybe a minute that this will take, I think it will be really beneficial for you. It's certainly been beneficial for me, and it's beneficial to my clients when I use it with them. So I'll give you 5 seconds to prepare, and also prepare myself. Alrighty, so here we go. You're going to inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Now hold it for 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I want you to release through your mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to inhale again. We're going to inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Release. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Last time. Take a big, deep inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Release for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, this is just a brief snippet of what it feels like to consciously breathe and consciously appreciate your own heart. And I think that this is something that we tend to forget when we're going through a hard time. Or honestly, we tend to forget that we are breathing on a daily basis. Breathing is something that we naturally do, we don't think about. And so we forget how important it is. Now, in these moments, I do want you to think about what you've noticed about your body, what you've noticed about your heart. And if you can, I literally want you to say to yourself, I appreciate myself and my struggle. And let that settle in. You know, Drew and I have had conversations about how frustrating the journey is sometimes to do better, to be better, to grow, and to evolve. And one of the things that he said to me, and I think is very true, is that if we can learn to appreciate the struggle and the journey and the hurdles, the end goal or the end point is actually so much more rewarding. And I hope that this brief snippet of appreciating yourself and your heart is something that can help you when you feel like giving up, when you start to say to yourself, maybe that's not for me. And I think the last thing that I want to share is actually a quote that I learned from Tony Robbins. I know you guys know how much Drew and I love Tony Robbins, but what he said was, when you trade expectations for appreciation, your life will change. And I think that this is very true because we have these expectations for ourselves to get things right away, or to reach a certain milestone right away, or to understand and to accomplish. And that's not the way life works. Life is a gauntlet, and you're going to go through difficult times. But if you can take a moment to appreciate yourself, like truly appreciate yourself in your existence, those expectations, they may not seem so hard. And that's what I have for you guys today. I hope that this added some value. I hope I made sense. And I hope that it was genuinely complimentary to Drew's Relentless episode. Maybe Drew and I will come together and recap both him and mine episode. But I appreciate you all for listening, and we will catch you on the next one.